Imagine that there's this new restaurant that came to your town. Now, your town could be big or small, whether you live in downtown Cincinnati, New York City, Chicago, LA, or a town so small that you're really hard struck to find somebody that's not a relative somewhere in there. There's a new restaurant there, and you're excited. Now, you're standing at the bottom of this staircase about to go up, but let's give a little bit of background before we do. Now, you've heard some crazy stories about this restaurant. Like, they got some of the best steak that you have ever seen in photos. Now, you have friends and family that have gone there and said that it is the best food that they have had in their entire lives. The most beautiful ribeye with super creamy mashed potatoes, or super chunky if you're more into that. You can just pick yourself. And even if you're a vegetarian, think of your favorite vegan dish. And I would bet money that they got you covered and that it is one of the best that you have ever had. Now, we know that these stories and these pictures are no substitute for actually going up and eating the food for yourself. Why do we almost kind of expect that to be the case when it comes to God? See, God, Yahweh, is a God of action. And you can see that exemplified through Abraham and Moses in the Old Testament for a couple of examples, or Jesus and Paul in the New. The list just goes on and on and on and on and on. If you see a name of a righteous person listed in Scripture, you best believe that they're doing something outside of just believing in God. So let's go back to the restaurant. Let's look at God as if God was the restaurant. Now, we're standing at the bottom of this staircase, and we have heard some incredible stories, seen some incredible signs, or pictures, or videos, or anything. Those stories aren't enough compared to getting up the stairs, walking inside, and experiencing it for ourselves. No matter how amazing those stories are, it doesn't substitute for the real thing. It doesn't matter if the best author in the world is telling you about how amazing this steak is. It's nothing compared to actually cutting the piece and putting it in your mouth. So what does it look like to walk up that staircase with God? Well, if we look at the words of Jesus in Matthew, we see kind of two main things are your path. You love God and you love people. And it's not one or the other, it's both. We see this also in the book of James in the New Testament, where he says, some of you may say that I have faith and you have works. But let me tell you this, I show you my faith through my works. And so I tell you that faith without works, it is dead. So this week, what does it look like to love God and love people? When you're at work, is it going over to that coworker that everybody just is rubbed the wrong way by and just having a good, loving conversation? Not necessarily shoving the gospel down their throat or getting super religious or political or anything like that, just having a good conversation and that they walk out knowing that they are loved and cared for. What does it look like in the home, whether you live alone, you live with your parents, or you have a family of your own? What can we do this week to show that love that we have for God and for people? That when even a complete stranger could walk through that door, whether they know it's from God or not, that they can tell something's different about this place, and it is good. Now, some of you may feel like in all of this twinge in your heart, like you're called to take a very large step. And some of you may be feeling like the steps that you're feeling pulled towards are a lot smaller. And I don't want you to get self-conscious about that, because when it comes to God, we're not doing all of these things to try and buy a ticket. That's not how he works. See, to God, the size of the step doesn't matter. It's the fact that you're taking the step at all. So this week, join us as we take these steps, however big or small that they are, and as we join together in prayer and encouraging each other.